Where did they settle? Please take a look at the map here. Caption, you can see Swiss-style buildings along the streets of New Glarus. Caption, immigrants had to wait in long lines at Ellis Island in New York. They were checked to see if they had any diseases. Some people were sent back to their homeland. Most of them, however, stayed in America. Settling in America, many immigrants first saw the United States at the harbor in New York. Others came to seaports all along the East Coast. After passing an exam to make sure they did not have any diseases, immigrants went by train to Wisconsin. Buying train tickets and food was hard since most immigrants did not speak English. They could not read signs. At the end of their long journey, the people who had money bought land. They usually settled in towns where people from their homeland already lived. In these places, immigrants could speak the language of their home country. They could keep their traditions. You can get clues about the first settlers of a town by the names of the churches, the kinds of buildings, and the ethnic food served in restaurants. A group of Swiss immigrants founded a town called New Glarus. The town still has many traces of its Swiss heritage. People hear about Wisconsin. How did people on the East Coast and in Europe learn about the United States and Wisconsin? Why did people decide to move to Wisconsin? Some people learned about Wisconsin from salesmen. These salesmen made money selling boat tickets to America. They also sold land. Caption, Germans built farmhouses from timber. Caption, at a German barn in Old World, Wisconsin, these boys are looking at chickens through a barn door. Salesmen traveled to the East Coast and across the ocean to Europe to tell people to move to America. They talked about the beautiful valleys and rich farmland. They described green forests and beautiful lakes and rivers. The salesmen were sometimes called soul stealers because they talked people into leaving their homeland. People also heard about Wisconsin from American letters. People already living here mailed letters to their friends and family back home. Gunnar Bondel wrote about Wisconsin's land in a letter to his family in Norway. The land's richness is impossible for us to describe. The land is not flat, but rolling. It is layered with hills and valleys and mountains. Samuel Freeman wrote a book that told people to leave their troubles behind and come to Wisconsin. We welcome you, for our land is broad and we need your numbers. We welcome you, for we know that, attracted by the fame of your country's freedom, many of you have come from oppression at home. Cheer up and join America's glorious band. Germans, the largest group of Wisconsin immigrants, came from Germany. Like many other people came to Wisconsin, most of the Germans came to farm. The weather had been bad in Germany and crops could not grow. Land prices were high. The promises of cheap land and jobs in the United States sounded very good. An endlessly fresh spirit surges through this land. Wherever you direct your gaze, something great can be seen developing. Karl Schurz, a German immigrant. One author of this book is Kurt Leichtel. The Leichtels came from Germany. One Girl's Story. If you have time, please take a look at this when you are done. Linking the past to the present, many people study their family's history. This is called genealogy. Has your family studied its past? Do you know where your family came from? When did they come to the United States? Once in America, German men and women started clubs, schools, and churches. The Turner Clubs were both social clubs and fitness centers. Today, Turner Clubs sponsor gymnastics. Germans opened their own schools where classes were taught in German. The people spoke German in church services. German helped shape Wisconsin's culture. German restaurants are scattered throughout Wisconsin. Bratwurst and other sausages are a common part of the American diet. Counties such as Dodge and Sauk still have very large German populations. Norwegians, struggling in a new land, education. Caption, what do you think these immigrant children are learning at school? Caption, this bellows was used to fan the fire in a fireplace. A fire that got more air would burn hotter. This bellows is decorated with rose malling. Lefse is a thin, round flatbread made from potato flour. Norwegians spread lefse with butter and jelly, folded them, and then ate them. Lefse was stored and folded in the box. Norwegians also came to Wisconsin. They packed their things in wooden trunks. The trunks were decorated with a style of fancy painting called rosemalling. The colors were bold and bright. Immigrants helped build Wisconsin. Many worked as farmers, some worked as lumberjacks and railroad builders, some started small businesses. Many immigrants lived in Milwaukee and other larger cities. In Milwaukee, many immigrants worked at beer breweries. Patrick Harahe hired immigrants to work in his meatpacking plant. Edward Alice hired immigrants to work in the factories. Immigrants worked long hours. Sometimes they were paid less than other workers. Not everyone liked the immigrants. Some people thought that they would change the culture of the United States too much. Some immigrants became discouraged and returned to their homelands. But many immigrants thought problems in America were not as bad as problems in the old country. Education. People in Wisconsin wanted every child to be able to go to school for free. This did not happen in many places in the United States. Students in other places had to pay to go to school. If parents did not have enough money, their children could not go to school.